Well, hello there again, friends. Today is 1/26/2022, and this is Odin Project Vlog Day 48. Um, getting started here, getting right into it. I worked on leapYears and tempConversion today and yesterday. I had some trouble with leapYears with some of the logic. tempConversion I have any issues with, but that's why I didn't upload last night because I had a really long day at work, and then I tried to study afterwards, and I was getting hung up on the leap year logic. One particular thing, we'll go over it, that kept me kind of stuck. So I didn't really want to put out a video half baked. So I took another day on it, and then got pushed past. I got some good night's sleep. Got where I wanted to get, and then I took a look at tempConversion, and then that was super simple. So and pretty straightforward. So that rounds out the completion of that rounds out this whole section here of part 4 of fundamentals. So without further ado, let's just get started. So jumping right in here to leap years. I guess first thing to do is read the README. Leap years is create a function that determines whether or not a given year is a leap year. Leap years are determined by the following rules. Leap years are years divisible by 4, like 84, 2004. However, years divisible by 100 are not leap years, such as 1800 and 1900, unless they're divisible by 400, like 1600 and 2000, which are in fact leap years. Yes, it's pretty confusing. So again, don't put this in your code. This is just an example of what the test runs, the Jest test. And it says hints. Use an if statement and an and to make sure all the conditions are met properly. Alright, so we hit the editor, and here's what I came up with. So we'll go over my solution, and then we'll check it against, which is pretty close in this example. We'll check it against what they have for a solution. So I put an input in here, or a parameter of year input, and then I created a variable called leapChecked, and didn't assign it anything, but just declared it inside the variable, or inside the function, excuse me. And then we had if, and then this is where I got a little confused. So there's an order of operations. If you learn, we didn't really talk about this too much, but in some of the texts in the previous lessons, you learn about order operations with math and with code, and particularly JavaScript, are very similar, but your ORs pipes are run completely different than in the real world. But for the most part, order operations mathematically applies here. So things that are in parentheses are going to be forced to be evaluated first before anything else. So basically we have it just looks long because it's blown up so you guys can see it, but it's really not that long. We have an if statement here that's going to evaluate 3 things. It's going to evaluate the year input 3 different times, because remember, we have 3 different checks. We have a divisible by 4 check, we have a divisible by 100 check, and then we have a divisible by 400. So here's how I did it. So year input is going to be whatever the test put in there for the parameter. And if you guys remember, I had to look this up again, but the percent sign is I'm going to butcher the word, but modulo, whatever. Anyway, that's the remainder. So I kind of was looking at Stack Overflow here, and this just gives me an idea of how to use it. This is an example of how to return an even number, basically. So it's divisible by 2. Double equals means it's equal in content and value. So this basically creates a whole number, and that's the same concept with this. So year input is going to be remaindered. I'm going to call it remaindered because I don't want to use that other word, but factored for, remaindered for evenly, which equals 0. So if that's true, and the year input remainder 100 and bang means not. So if year input remainder 100 is not 0, meaning it doesn't equal, it equals whatever, a decimal, 10 or 20.55 or whatever. then it's going to break out, and because that's going to be an and. Remember, an and, double ampersand and means this and this have to be true. So in this example, so if it's divisible by 4 and not divisible by 100, it's going to be true. If it is divisible by 100 and it's divisible by 4, it's going to break out to else and go leave checked equals false. And then the additional third statement here is or, which is inside its own parentheses. So after it evaluates this, it moves on going right across the screen here, and then it's going to evaluate same thing, year input remainder 400 equals 0, and that satisfies this one here of divisible by 400. So if that's the case, then, and that's an or statement, and remember, or in JavaScript does not mean this or this like in the real world, like you get pie or cake. It means or can be anything. It can mean this is true, or it can mean like this expression's true, or this expression's true, or both are true, and it still will create a true environment. And so it will have leap checked equals true, and just return leap check. So check me in the comments if I said anything wrong. This is kind of where I got hung up with in the logic, and especially when it came to this here. Yeah. So we'll go over the solution as well. It looks a little cleaner than the way I did it, and so it's probably a little easier to follow. But you can also rewind this video and play it back again for more understanding. And so it returns leap checked, and then it runs all these tests. And just to show you that it does work, oops, what it's doing there. Just to show you it does work, so we're going to do npm test, and then leapYears.spec.js. Passed all 6. Pass. Okay. So it works with non-century years, so it does different variables there. It works with ridiculously futuristic non-century years. Works with different values of century years. So that's cool. Their solution is right here. Excuse me. So theirs is a little easier to understand. It's cleaner. Again, I'm repeating myself for the billionth time. I don't write my code horizontally. I write it vertically. So yeah, I just don't put my return statement like that, but that's fine. In this example, honestly, this is a better way to do it because it looks cleaner. So it's going to do the same thing. They're just using year, and they're going to return year remainder 4 is equal to 0, which is the same expression I had, but this one isn't in parentheses. So, but this is in parentheses. So, like I said earlier, the parentheses will be forced first. So this actually it's cleaner, easier on the eyes, makes more sense. But mine still passes, but maybe mine has a bug in it if it were to run some other tests. But anyway, this says year percent is year remainder 100 is not 0, and year remainder 400 is 0. Or remember, it's an or, so either or both can be true, and that will be a true statement. And it's got to be divisible by 4, and then it returns. So it doesn't really, it's not as verbose. It's clean basically. So nothing wrong with it, but that gives you a further understanding of the solution of how they expect you to filter out those leap years. So moving on. The next one we have was tempConversion. So if we go out here and review this, where's it hiding at? Where is it hiding at? missing something here? Hang on, guys. Oh, right here. Sorry. Okay. Temp conversion. When two functions that convert temperatures from Fahrenheit, write two functions that convert temperatures from Fahrenheit to Celsius and vice versa. ftalk 32 is Fahrenheit to Celsius, should return 0. ctof 0, Celsius to Fahrenheit, should return 32. Remember, these are just examples of what the test is going to run and expect. These do not go in your code. Because we are human, we want the result temperature to be rounded to one decimal place. ftalk 100 should return 37.8 and not 37.777778. This exercise asks you to create more than one variable, so the module.export section of this spec file looks a little bit different this time. Nothing to worry about, we're just packaging excuse me. We're just packaging both functions into a single object to be exported. Hints, you can find the relevant formula on Wikipedia, and I did utilize that, and we'll see that here as we go through. Try to find by yourself on the internet how to round a number to one decimal place in JavaScript. If you struggle, have a look here. I was able to Google that on my own. I did not click that link. So here we go. So temp conversion. I started off with I piped in a parameter fnum, which just stands for Fahrenheit num, just for easy readability. And then I create a variable called letCconversion, which stands for C for Celsius conversion, equals fnum, the input parameter, minus 32, and then that's times by, remember, order operations, prints goes first, 5 divided by 8, and then that result is multiplied by fnum the result of fnum minus 32. Now, how I got that formula was from right here. So we have temperature conversion Wikipedia, and we're going from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Right? Yeah, right? Yeah. Yep. Times 5. Yeah. Yep, right here. So, sorry about that. Stupid. Okay. There we go. So there's the formula we're working with. So we have Celsius equals Fahrenheit minus 32 times 5 over 9. And that will convert you from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So that's what you have to run. And so that's what our code looks like. And Celsius is just equaling this value since we don't have Celsius yet. And then here I sprinkled in the console.logs for troubleshooting purposes and then commented them out. And we have another command called, or another, another variable declared called cRounded, which stands for Celsius rounded, equals math.round. So I Googled this one and found this one right out here, rounding. So math.round takes whatever it's in, wherever value's in. So it's going to round the value of C conversion, which is the mathematical calculation up here, times 10, and then that value gets divided by 10, and then that value gets rounded, and that is talked about here. And this is where I got it from. So this rounds, it moves it out 10, so it goes out 2 decimal places, and then brings it back 1, so it basically drops off everything after that point, whatever, first digit, if you will. And that's how you do the 10. That's why the 10 math is in there. So the round basically just tells it we're going to do a round where it's a round method, I think. So we're going to run a math round method against whatever the value is and store that as rounded, and that's exactly what I did here. Was math.round is going to round C conversion times 10 divided by 10 and put that value into C rounded and return C rounded. Same thing down here, opposite though. We have a parameter coming in called cnum, which is Celsius num. We're going to convert it to Fahrenheit. So we have let f conversion equals cnum times Prins 9 over 5, 9 divided by 5, and then plus 32. Yeah, I got a typo in there. Won't matter, but I'll go ahead and fix that for clarity's sake. So what it's doing here, inner, excuse me, inner parentheses first, 9 divided by 5, and then outer parentheses, order operations. Multiplication will come before addition, so it'll go left to right. So it'll take CNum multiplied by whatever the value of 9 divided by 5 is, plus, and then add 32 to that, and it puts it into the variable fConversion. And then we are taking fConversion, multiplying it by 10 again, dividing it by 10, and rounding that out just like last time to get the f rounded. And then we're returning f rounded. And then some console logs sprinkled here and there, so I could make sure that my calculations were running correctly. So, yep. So that's that, and you run that, should run out fine. npm test temp conversion .spec.js. There you go. 6 passes. It works. It rounds to 1 decimal. Works with negatives and same. So it does 2 different. It runs a pass on ftalk and then runs a pass on ctof and just works with the value, rounds it to 1 decimal, works with negatives. So their solution to this. So there's their solution. So same type of deal. They just put it all in one line. This is cleaner. I'm not gonna lie. If you guys did it this way, it's probably the better way. My way works. It's just a lot more verbose, excuse me, and takes a lot longer to write out. But this makes this, when I look at it, just the way I think, kind of said this millions of times, but you're probably gonna get tired of me saying it, but it just doesn't work for me. But anyway, so math got round is going to do the same type of thing. So you have your 5, 9. Actually, it's the exact same thing. They just used F and C instead of what I used. And they just put the return on the same line. And the only difference is that I created conversion and then rounded the conversion and then made its own variable and then returned it. So whatever flavor you like, it's one great thing about coding and programming is there probably is a best way, but there's probably 5 good ways to do it. So, but I'm happy that I got this without any assistance or looking at the solution. So I'm happy with that. And if you want to see under the hood on this one, these are the tests that this runs. So you have ftalk. Here's your test. Works just means it's going to throw in 32 and it expects 0, rounds to 1 decimal. It throws in 100 and it expects 37.8. And then negatives, it throws in a negative 100 and it expects a negative 73.3. And ctof throws in a 0, it expects 32. Rounds to 1 decimal, throws in 73.2 and expects out 163.8, excuse me, and it works with negatives, throws in a negative 10 and expects out a 14. And that all ran just fine and proved out as you've seen in the terminal. And we didn't look under the hood on the first one. So leap year, real quick, is the same thing, same concept. So it throws in 1996, has to be true. 1997 expects to be false. 34,992 expects to be true. 1900 expects to be false. 1600 expects to be true, and 700 expects to be false. So that's it. Rounding that out, and that's it for we are done with part 4. So next thing we'll be going on to DOM manipulation. So, or DOM manipulation, however you pronounce that. So that's it for today. So hope you guys enjoyed the ride today and learned a little bit along the way. Please comment below. Let me know how you did on leapYears and tempConversion, and really how you've been doing overall with all of these. So please like, share, and subscribe for more content. And until next time, see ya.